What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. Like 10 minutes ago, we ended the last show.
Yes.
I am your host, Nefarious.
And I'm Freq Girl.
And today we are joined for our double header by Nandor Fox Shaffer, here to tell us all about his current comic book crowdfunding campaign, Man-Child #2, now available on Kickstarter. Nandor, welcome to the show.
Hey guys. Oh man,
Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be back. I think when I launched the campaign for issue 1, talking to you guys was probably my favorite interview. So I'm super excited to be back and talk about issue 2.
No way.
Yeah.
I caught your launch yesterday on Pop XP, man. That was a heck of a show. You had a bunch of characters on with you. Billy was in top form as always, and you brought in quite a nice number in your first, like, what? We're not even 24 hours in, are we?
Right. Yeah, I think we just hit the 24-hour mark like a few minutes ago. So yeah, it's been one whole day, and it's been great. I mean, yeah, I had a great launch on the Pop XP channel, and I had so much fun, and it's been like super humbling and really I'm really optimistic. I'm really proud of what we've done so far.
Yeah, I mean, you should be, for such a little amount of time, 24 hours. You've already brought in $1,400. You already have 44 backers.
Yeah, that actually just ticked up as we were.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's steadily getting people coming in, which is great. That's what he's got a $4,500 goal, so he's about a third of the way there. Yeah, I mean, more than a third of the way there. It's been quite some time, though, since we last had you on when we did that interview for Man-Child #1. So before we get into the book, why don't we let our audience know a little bit more about you? Where are you from?
Where am I from? Well, I am from the capital city of Missouri, so Jefferson City, Missouri. And even though my name is Nandor, it's not a Missouri name. It's a Hungarian name. My mom is Hungarian, and so that's where that comes from. But I grew up in Missouri, Midwestern kid, and I started making comics when I was like 17, 18 years old, started writing comics, and I've always loved superheroes. I've always loved storytelling. I'm a sponge for film, TV, animation, comics, novels, just anything I can get my hands on. Manga. I've been getting into more manga now recently too, so that's been really cool. But I love storytelling. It's like a part of my life, and I think stories are the best way to speak your truth and talk about things that you can't necessarily always talk about in the open, and you can just really share things with people that are just, I think, the most clever ways to express what you want to get across for readers and viewers and all of that.
So, pardon me, I said Nandor, it's Nandor. I'm gonna make that mistake forever now, though.
It's okay.
To my friends, I say, have you read Nandor Fox Shaffer's Seasons? Or, hey, check out Man-Child by Nandor. So that's never happening. I'm never saying it right. I apologize ahead of time.
It's okay because I think, I don't know if it's interchangeable, because like a lot of people, I don't know if you guys watch What We Do in the Shadows on Hulu, but a main character on there, they refer to him as Nandor. And I don't know. I grew up, my mom, Nandor, that was always it. So I don't know if it's like, it depends on what part of Hungary you were like born in or how they, pronounce it. But I think either way is probably appropriate, but I appreciate it. Yeah.
I just don't want to piss anybody off. You know how it is. And I mean, like, people have different accents, right? Mo Biggs wants to know if you grew up in Missouri or Missouri.
Missouri. Yeah, I do. I do not. I do. I actually, that's something that really bothers me when people call Missouri Missouri, and it's. I don't know why they do it, but it's just, I don't know, a native thing.
So we are not talking about Weebery tonight, Will. We are talking about Manchild, but we're talking about Manchild number 2. And as you can see, Nandor, see, I did it right that time, has seasons, just off to his right, our left, which is the first series that I know him from. But he also has Lifeline over there on his left, our right, which is the other book that I own by him. You can tell that I'm kind of a Nandor fan. I'm trying. I'm practicing it. I'm just, it's eventually going to make a mistake.
Keep saying it. Yeah.
All right. So when did you first develop a deeper
more like manga child?
Oh, God.
Am I right?
Oh, no, I've read it, Mo, and it doesn't have any sort of manga-ish tendencies at all. It looks like classroom Western comics, top to bottom. It's very clear, legible, well-designed Western comic book storytelling, even if there may have been some things that have been taken from manga as far as the storytelling, the way to unfold the storytelling. I don't think visually it represents anything similar.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting when I talk about seasons with people, and people come up to me and they talk about seasons specifically. They really think that it reminds them of an anime or a manga or something, and I found that really interesting because I didn't grow up reading manga or watching a lot of anime, and that was something that people kept expressing to me about seasons, and so that made me even more interested to get into that world and see what kind of stories that were being told by manga creators. And so that's interesting. I feel like that's in me, but I don't necessarily know how that came about because I wasn't a part of that world growing up.
It's probably, a lot of these people saying, hey, seasons reminded me of, or I felt like seasons, borrowed from manga. I don't know how old those people are, but younger generations have certainly grown up with manga and anime. So it could just be like the only thing they know how to compare it to.
You use that word a whole lot.
Mo is not happy with me. Whenever we see the ellipsis, we know.
Read Radio, hey, what's up? Is this the second episode of the day, or did I black out?
I think you did black out, but it is also the second episode. Hail, Josh.
Did we say hello to the chat now? Because it's our second. I don't think
we didn't. So why don't we take a second to say hello to the chat? We got D-Wag being first and first. So he has taken the lead from me, even though I cleaned it on the last show.
No, you don't count.
I don't count. So then D-Wag has got 2 in a row because he did say first.
Yeah, but then Mo came in.
Oh, he did. He just said no. That's not happening.
Mo said that someone missed the opportunity to get 2 in one day.
Right, but then okay,
Which is technically the first comment.
D-Wag's up on the board. Let's just put it that way. We got Mo Biggs in the chat as always. We have got Will from Creators Outlet with us as well, and we are rolling on. We got Josh, of course. We got Eric. It's so fucking hot. It is. It is hot. It's hot out there.
Hot outside. It's the summer. It's the dog days of summer. What you gonna do?
So what kind of stories when you were growing up? So you said you didn't read manga. I'm sorry, Bo. I know I said it again. You didn't read that type of storytelling. What's the best did you read? And was there anything that stands out in your mind as inspiring you to become a sequential art storyteller yourself?
Yeah, I read a lot of course, my favorite characters. I mean, that's what I gravitated to. And I grew up during the time when Brubaker was on Captain America and Fraction was on Iron Man. And you had Hickman on Fantastic Four, and so I was taking all of that in as I was getting into comics and reading comics on a monthly basis, and that was huge for me. I remember reading Brubaker's Captain America run, and I started mid or late into his run, and so I went back and tried to get everything, and that was the first time I started to really understand how you could get inside the head of characters, and it was from the way that Brubaker would write inner, dialogue for his characters, and I just loved the way you could do that, and so that always stuck with me, and that really made me go, I don't see this a lot in other, you can't do that as well in other mediums or as effectively, and so I just loved being in the heads of these characters and these heroes that I really admired, but it was also a lot of um film. I'm a huge film junkie, and so like growing up, I watched a lot of movies, and I watched a lot of like PG-13 rated R movies before I was even 13. I just like absorbed a lot of mature stories and a lot of mature like storytelling, and I remember watching like a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson films and a lot of films by, like, I don't know, just like I'm looking at my movie collection over here, and there's just a lot of things that I absorbed and that I really loved. And I remember also when I turned about 14 or 15, I was heavily getting into Doctor Who, and especially the Matt Smith era of Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor. And the reason why I bring that up is because that was
Sorry.
no.
I'm relieved at his selection of favorite characters. I thought he was about to list off Tofu, Gonad, or Vegemite or whoever.
Yeah. And the reason why I bring Doctor Who up is because that was the first time I had started watching a series, and with all the science fiction elements, it had a lot of great character development, especially for a character like the Doctor, who keeps being reincarnated in different ways and rejuvenated with different actors and everything. But I remember watching that and seeing an entire series tell one whole storyline in the way. And that's what I noticed in Hickman stuff too, reading a lot of Hickman, is the way you can do a lot of foreshadowing and the way you can make the reader feel rewarded for sticking with the story. And that was something that I always loved with storytelling. And that's something that just really affected me growing up. And The Crow was another one that I just absolutely loved. And that I remember reading The Crow in one sitting, and I never usually do that. I never usually like read something in one sitting. I don't know. I like taking things apart and taking it piece by piece. So that was a really influential book. And then a lot of Scott McCloud stuff too. I really love Scott McCloud, and I just, creators like that just influenced me to such a degree that it made me want to dive into comic books and read more about the art form and the medium. And I didn't get an appreciation when it comes to like Manchild. I didn't get an appreciation for, I mean, I always loved classic stories and classic comic books, but it wasn't until I started really diving deep into the Silver Age and Golden Age era of comics in the last 4 or 5 years that I started to really appreciate how we all got here, and that was something that I really wanted to investigate.
And is there anything on the stands right now that is that you're interested in reading, that's tickling your fancy, that you're looking forward to?
There is actually. I'm really loving Human Target right now, and I really like. I mean, I don't know. People might get on to me for this, but I do like Tom King. I mean, I love Greg Smallwood, but I like Tom King and the
What?
About.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
No. You're fine. You're fine. And I know. Like, and I'm willing to talk about this, and I actually really love talking to people about this. But the reason why I'm enjoying that book specifically right now is because I think it's just a great marriage between writing and art specifically. I mean, I think it's doing a great job, and the book is just super sexy. It's just like I read it and it's just so well done in the way that the mystery behind it, and how like why Christopher Chance like he's investigating the JLI, and like who could have done this to him, who's he's dying. And I don't know. I'm enjoying that mystery, and I'm just a huge Smallwood fan too. So I'm enjoying that book. I'm enjoying the Reckless graphic novels by Brubaker, and I am enjoying what's the other book? You know, I'm not reading a lot of Marvel and DC stuff that much anymore. I mean, they're I'm reading less now than I ever did, and um, you know, in terms of independent books, I am trying different things and seeing what I like. I'm really enjoying Flashpoint Beyond by Jeff Johns. I'm a huge Jeff Johns fan. So I like what he's doing with that. But it's I don't know. I'm finding myself going back and looking for things that I missed out on.
So you really dig the DC stuff, and I guess I should, expect that being, coming from the guy who's writing Man-Child, where the tagline is "Superheroes as you once knew them." In my mind, DC kind of embodies the old school classic superhero character. You got Batman, you got Superman, even Green Lantern. From back early on, those were the classic superheroes that people really appreciate. Personally, I'm a Marvel guy. Like I grew up on Marvel comics. X-Men was kind of like my first big crush, and I got into stuff after that. I didn't really get into DC as much when I was younger. I mean, it could also be because my parents fed me the nom.
I was gonna say, oh my God,
so I was reading Marvel right on. Like Batman isn't nearly as grim as this shit.
Whatever.
Well,
adult comics, huh? This is about POWs.
Well, and that's something I'm noticing about myself too. Is like I loved Marvel a lot more when I was younger. I find myself enjoying DC as I'm getting older, and I've heard other people say that too. And I don't necessarily know what that is, but I do find it fascinating because I've always seen myself as more of a Marvel guy. I've always my favorite heroes have always been Marvel characters, and so I guess I'm just finding what DC is doing right now more interesting to me, and I like what they're working with, and I'm more interested in what they're doing than I am with what Marvel's doing, because I feel like Marvel right now, it just feels very disconnected for me with Marvel. I feel like DC's doing a better job at making it feel like a connected universe, and that's something that I really appreciate when it comes to superhero comics, is making things feel in sync with each other. And I feel like Marvel is having a hard time with that.
I gotta say though, noticing the Captain America shield dead center over your head, being a Marvel guy, right?
Yeah.
Have you checked out the current Captain America series that's going on?
I haven't. I haven't.
I'm not a huge Cap guy. He's a little bit, I don't know, stuffy maybe. Whenever we played Marvel versus Capcom, occasionally I'd play as Cap. But I always, even in the fighting games, felt like he was just a little bit too stuffy of a hero, stars and stripes and everything. But the current Captain America comic is actually really good. I was talking to Odin about it, and he was saying,
I saw Odin. Yeah, Odin really likes it.
But that says a lot, because Captain America is a very significant character for him. He's very picky about his Captain America. But what he said is it feels a lot like the earlier Captain America, more mature, honest storytelling than anything that we're seeing out of modern contemporary Marvel. It feels like a real, I don't know, maybe a step backwards if we were talking about being like progressive Marvel, or return to tradition. Now, for a guy, what?
I was going to read Eric Guapo's comment.
Okay.
Said, I've always been a DC guy. I dabbled into Marvel a few times, but DC captures stoicism much better.
I'm telling you, check out the Cap series, man.
Attention.
We have Don shit up in here. What? What's up, Don?
Thanks.
Glad to have you with us. So we've been talking about superheroes as they once were, right? What does that phrase mean to you? And how do modern superheroes differ from those more traditional ones?
I think for me, I put that on the cover there because I wanted people's gears to turn in their head, and I personally, for me, as you once knew them, things were a lot more clear cut. I'd say, and the way that classic storytelling with classic comics and in that era, you knew what was good, you knew what was bad. Things were more black and white. You knew who was the hero and who was the villain, and you also could always rely on your heroes to do the right thing and to uphold morality in a very clear cut way. And you also were just inspired by them, it wasn't the Watchmen effect of bringing the heroes down to earth and making you really relate to all of their problems and everything, because everyone's just kind of
I know Mo beat
like
me
I
to
get relating to heroes, but I want to be inspired by them too, and I don't want to just read a comic where I'm like, man, this guy's, really having a hard time. I feel for him. I hope he comes out of this. I'd rather read something when it comes to a traditional superhero story where I'm like, man, I want to be that guy. I wish I could get to that point where I could make those decisions and do what he's doing and feel confident and passionate and um, secure enough in my belief of what it means to save the day and be a hero and all of those things. And that's something that I've been looking for. And I think that's another reason why I've been enjoying DC or getting more into DC is because of like what you mentioned is that stoicism and that sense of like they're rock solid characters. They're immovable in their morality and their beliefs and their sense of justice, and I really love that sense of justice that heroes can bring to the story and how they don't waver in their beliefs, and that's something that I wanted to bring to the story.
And who are some of your favorite comic book characters that you think capture that really well?
Um, for me, Cap is definitely like my go-to guy, but um, if not him, it's Superman or it's Spider-Man, and when I even though Peter Parker is very down to earth, but like he, maybe it's more Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Maybe that's a better, more specific Tobey Maguire in the way that his sense of doing the right thing despite the odds and despite giving up, uh, being selfless. That's a big part about being a superhero for me, and that selflessness and that sacrificial attitude that I think Superman and Spider Man embody a lot, and Captain America. And I do gravitate to a lot of gray area characters too. Like I love Moon Knight a lot. I love the Question, but those are more you know gray area characters. They're more like you. They have some issues, and you can't really rely on them to do the right thing, and that makes them interesting. But they're also very ruthless in the way they go about things, and I could see them take the life of someone, and I've always found the hero's like rule of not killing and not being a murderer, and how you have certain heroes that will never cross that line, and what that does to certain heroes and what that means. And that's always a really like interesting debate that I like to talk about is like, if Batman killed the Joker, that be saving more lives? But like, it's important that he doesn't, and there's a reason for that. And I think those are the three top characters that come to mind when it comes to that sense of immovable security in their beliefs and in their sense of justice.
I find that an exceptional point of view, and I know how you love digging into stuff, right? I know how you love like uncovering layers.
Yeah.
you were talking about sacrifice, self-sacrifice, and being willing to put yourself to the hazard for the benefit of others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And an unwavering sense of justice. Punisher.
Yeah. It's true, but
He
also
will never have a normal life. I know it starts off very selfish, right? I want revenge. I want to take my baggage out on bad guys, even though they're not the bad guys that killed my wife. But I mean, that's the same thing for Batman, right? Oh, like the guy that, killed my mom and whatnot. Like, he does get him. and then he just goes on to be Batman for the rest of his life. So
right.
we're talking, I mean, and Spider-Man, right? Like, Spider-Man's like, oh, Uncle Ben died because I could have done the right thing and then I didn't. And then he spends the rest of his life, making up for that mistake. Clark's entirely different. Cap's entirely different. Cap is honestly, like I said, he's a stodgy character in my mind, but he's got the best sense of an origin, where it's all of it, everything inside of him, like that idea of what is the super soldier serum. They say it really well in the movie. It just takes what's inside and amplifies it, puts it outside. That was the coolest way to describe Cap. I was an instant fan.
Right.
When they described it that way. I got to say, I love the Steve Rogers in the films. I didn't love him so much in the comics. I thought it was fucking boring. But anyway, back to the idea of the Punisher, right? So you've got this character who starts off selfish, right? But he does have an unwavering sense of justice. He's willing to never give himself a chance to be happy again or have a normal life, constantly putting himself at risk for the benefit of other people to punish evildoers. And I've read a lot of Punisher in my life. And there were times when I was like, this guy's awful. This guy's a horrible human being. And then there were times where I was like, Punisher actually is a hero. I remember there was an episode or an issue where he throws down with Nomad. Do you remember Nomad? Originally, yeah. So he fights Nomad for Bucky, the little baby kid Bucky that Nomad's carrying around. And he's like, you are endangering this child walking around with her strapped to your back, shooting at people with a shotgun. I'm going to beat the crap out of you and take this kid to like CPS. So they have like a fist fight and everything, of course, because it's Nomad and the Punisher. But like the idea of trying to use violence and apply violence to do the right thing. When we look back in time to an age when superheroes were first manifesting themselves as we knew them, which is right around the time prior to World War II, right? And we get this manifestation of real, like, traditional heroism when you think about it, like Cap, fought Nazis. All these superheroes, they really became symbols of heroism around that time. You had people wanting to go out and punish evildoers. That was kind of almost propaganda for getting us involved in the war, right? Like, punish the evildoers. Well, it's not doing anything to us. Then, of course, Pearl Harbor happens. Of course, we got to go punish the evildoers. When you think about those traditional superheroes, the way superheroes used to be, putting yourself to the hazard and embracing something that other people might find distasteful, doing the dirty work, that almost is the essence in my mind of like what it takes to be a hero. Even if you're not the guy meting out bloody vengeance at the end of a 9mm, Superman didn't have to kill anybody, but he was still the guy who was stepping up and saying, no, I won't stand for this. I'll be the one that does something about it. Let me turn back to the chat because, I wax poetic and ramble on. We got Andy A saying, hey ho, you little bastards, what a day to be happy. I know, right? It's a good day for it to be Friday. We had a little bit of a back and forth between Mo Biggs and Dean earlier. Don Chin is excited having Nandor on my channel and later this month. He's
Don wonders if you do ASMR because you have a
very soothing voice. Yeah, I mean, I don't do soothing at all.
As long as I don't put anyone, as long as I don't put anyone to sleep,
Mobius says to Dean, you need to try and look at things from an outsize perspective. Dean. No, that says outsize.
Yes, but he corrected it.
I think he means bigger.
Oh,
bigger
okay,
perspective.
Sure,
Mo is even right when he's wrong.
When he's wrong.
If you had a wrench and you started weaving out, which would happen sometimes, I couldn't time you out for your own good. And this is why Mo Biggs is in charge of the wrenches on this channel.
True. It's true.
Saying Japanese horror is cool is not weebery. I don't know. Is Dean still not timed out? In the
Yeah,
chat?
no, I've checked, and Mo has not timed him out. I
Okay.
keep checking because I thought maybe he got close, but no.
Dungeon says, I like Nandor's shirt. It matches my comic book SFX blazer. I almost read that as beer. I don't know why.
And then I was going to say hi to Aldous,
hey,
who is in the chat again.
We got Aldous
Good
with us
evening,
again. Thank you so much for showing up, man. Really appreciate it. Aldous, bow. All right, so we were going on and on about classical superheroes.
Wait, Mo says, yeah, Don and Nandor both dress like the protagonist's wisecracking best friend in an 80s teen comedy.
Like Screech on Saved by the Bell. So how did you get into writing?
Oh, how did I? Well, I started when I was 13. I started writing blogs, and especially blogs about video games. And that was my first experience, like really doing writing for fun and structuring my work in a way where I was putting out these essays basically on different video games or things that I thought was interesting at the time. And I remembered posting those blogs on GameInformer.com at the time. And I would get, my blogs would get chosen as like the best of the week or one of the best of the week. And this whole time, you know, I'm like 13 and I'm like, I wonder if they even know, you know, how young I am or old I am. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. It was like encouraging at that time for me because I was like, wow, people are reading what I'm writing. Like maybe I have something to say that's interesting. And I did that for a few years where as I was going through high school, I was just writing blogs. But I got to a point where I just didn't want to write about other people's stuff, you know, and I wanted people to write about my stuff. And I was like, I know I have stories to tell. Like, I don't necessarily remember the moment specifically, but I just remember like I was on my back porch one day and I was thinking about a story I could write. And this was when I was about 16 or 17. And the idea of seasons came to my mind out of like nowhere. I just thought, wouldn't it be interesting if a character's abilities changed with the seasons of the year? And like, what would that look like? What kind of story would that be? And it seemed perfect for an like a ongoing series or, you know, a maxi series, you know, something that you could put out and kind of follow this character on a 1-year journey. And so I really like that was sort of my evolution as a writer. Is I just jumped from writing about things that I enjoyed and wanting to just create stories. I had never written a story before I wrote seasons. I never like wrote my own short stories. I never really did any of that. I never thought of myself as a creator. I played music a lot and I wrote music with my brother growing up. And that was, I guess, another part of having a creative outlet. But comics really came out of nowhere. I've always loved them, always loved reading them. And I think I chose them because at 17, I was like, this is the only thing I can really see myself doing that's a practical thing that I could accomplish. And that's where like comics came in. And I was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if people like my stories or what I could do. And that became Seasons. And, you know, now we're here.
That's awesome. Tell me about the imprint, Foxhole Comics. I think I'd mentioned this the first time you were on. Is that a nod to Jack Kirby? The Foxhole series?
Yeah, it is. It's there's a lot of little reasons I chose that name actually, and that's one of them for sure. Jack Kirby's Foxhole like comic that he made like a war comic at the time, and it's also I thought it did a good job expressing like the isolation of a writer, like being in a foxhole, like being in your own little space and doing this all by yourself, and
Well, I wish I was all by myself sometimes. Oh my God, they're constantly bothering me. They're always coming in. Put out this fire. Give me your approval on this thing. What do you think about that? Our website needs completely reconstructed from the ground up in one day.
Yeah.
I wish I had a foxhole. I'm trying to be all like working on the next big thing over here in my little dark corner of the house where the shades are drawn. It smells all musky because I've been in there for days, right? And all I want to do is sit there and write and be in my mess and like create. No, can't do that. Every 20 minutes it's something. I swear to God.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm in the middle of changing the world. Like no one bother me right now, but yeah, I'd like that sense of, I don't know, a writer's life is one of isolation a lot of the time. When you're trying to create something, you don't need distractions, and you really, for me, it's like I have to isolate myself and put myself, in front of my notebook most of the time, and start working on something. And then also, uh, being a creator and being in this very comics is, I don't know if competitive is the best word, but it has that sense of competition where you're trying to stand out amongst the crowd. And so you are constantly, I kind of saw it as like being this lone soldier in this foxhole and having all of these, this army of other creators and other people out there that are,
you're just picking off one at a time.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to win the war. You're trying to get people to see that you have something to offer and that you can be outstanding in your work. And so that was another reason I chose it, because I feel like when you're on the grind and you're trying to get your book in front of people, you have to get them to stop seeing everyone else's stuff and be like, focus and look at what I've done and pay attention to this, because this is really important to me. And I hope you will enjoy it, and I hope it's meaningful to you because it's so meaningful to me. So that's kind of where it all came from.
We got Sim with us. Thank you so much for tuning in.
We also have Ice Queen. Ooh.
I don't know if I know Ice Queen. Do I know Ice Queen?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she's been to our channel before, but welcome.
Welcome, Ice Queen, first timer.
Mo has decreed that she gets a wrench for 15 minutes.
Because Dean does not.
Yes, so she has 12 minutes left because I started a timer.
Yeah, drop a link if you want.
You did promise that you would drop a link.
Show Dean how it's done. So this isn't your first rodeo, so to speak. You've got a very soothing voice, we already established, but how old are you, Nandor? I want you to say it out loud.
Yeah, I'm 25.
This man sounds like Morgan Freeman, and he's 25. What are you talking about? 25, and you've run 5 crowdfunding campaigns, published multiple books, including seasons 1 through 3 and Lifeline and Man-Child #1. I mean, like, that's a lot to accomplish at 25, and also have this really mature outlook on life where you're like, a writer is living in a foxhole, in a solitary world at war with the universe outside. Like, damn, dude. Like, when I was 25, I was hitting the blunt and going to skate parks and shit. What are you about, man? Yeah,
I don't, I wonder that about myself. I'm like, shouldn't I be maybe like take a load off, Jack? It's like just relax a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like I'm always running out of time, and I want to live every day like to the most that I can, and creating to me and making stories that matter and that touch people. It's just the most important thing to me. And I was like, I knew this is what I wanted to do from an early age. It's like, I knew I wanted to reach people and places and to move them with my work, and, help them, if I can help them, or make their day a little brighter. And that's something that I've always just felt a deep longing to do, and get people to see that I do have something to say, and that hopefully they'll relate to it and it'll resonate with them. but it's hard, I mean, because I have a lot of friends my age, but they're all doing, a lot of fun things, and they're all, going out, and I'm like, maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know, but like, I I do enjoy doing those things, but yeah, like I said, I always feel like the clock is ticking, and it's important for me to put as much out there as I can while I'm still young and while I have like the energy I have.
If you guys haven't read Nandor's books, Seasons and Lifeline, they're not what Cider would write. They're not what I would write. They're much more significant, weighty. Some might even say downright depressing or
Yeah.
poignant or heavy comics. It's like, yeah, the guy's 25, but he's going on 60, and he's a young man who's going on, his 500th cup of bitter coffee on this planet, having the ability to look back on life and see it as lived or wasted at 25. I swear to God, man, do you have like lymphoma or something? Are you like gonna die at 30? Are we worried about losing you?
Right. I don't no, I mean, I don't. I really I guess it's like I don't know what tomorrow will bring. So
You
if
know
I
how to
did,
be funny though, right? You do
yeah,
have a
yeah.
sense of humor.
Totally. And Man-Child is the funnest thing that I've written. And I've tried
Lifeline
to.
was rough, man. Like I read Lifeline, I sat there, I was like, holy crap. Like
Yeah.
reading it was really like reading somebody's death. It was like it
Wow.
was reading
Wow.
through all of the things that connected this person's life to the people around them, and then just seeing those different points in time. Even the chapter beginnings, where you have that
Yeah.
one page, and you have like the page with the picture, and then there's no picture, or there's the thing, like how the images change. He knows what I'm talking about. The people at
Oh
home
yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about, how just that page can completely change the tone of the story. You do it brilliantly in this one page turn. We have like a chapter, and then you get to that and you're like, oh shit, I know what happens.
Right. Right.
I see that person missing in that photo.
Yeah.
Or I see this, and like, so it's really somber in a way, and poignant and deep, but also very heavy, and not what you would expect from like a fun writer. Nandor's not fun like that. So when we get Man-Child, it's a dramatic change of pace. There's still some depth to it, but at the same time, it's a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Man-Child is fun comic book times for everybody. Nandor's trying to say something. He's always trying to say something, right? He's always got a message in the text. So why don't you give us the pitch for Man-Child? What's it all about? Who's the main character? Who are the antagonists? What's the conflict? Go.
Man-Child is the bridge between reality and fantasy. It features in the real world this nerd character, this comic book super fan named Rufus Boston. And he is this guy who likes to hang out with his friends at the comic book store. He likes to go see the new superhero film that's about to release in theaters. And he's living his life, but he's stuck. He's in his own cocoon right now, if you will. And the Monarch Crier is a superhero character that is a traditional superhero that you would find in the Silver Age of comics. He was inspired by Black Bolt, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man, and his like costume design and kind of his makeup. The series is going to be 6 issues. It tells 2 stories simultaneously that alternate as you read each issue. You go from a few pages in Rufus's life, and then a few pages in the Monarch Crier's story, his adventures, and it's juxtaposing the innocence and maturity and the sense of reality and fantasy, and what it means to be a man and what it means to be a child at heart while still being a man, and how escapism, while it's amazing and beautiful and we need it, maybe not all the time, or maybe we do. Like those are the questions that I like to bring about in the story, and it's about the beauty and pitfalls of escapism and stories that we get so lost in and that we obsess about. And Manchild is this encapsulation of all of that and trying to bring that to the masses and have it be a very, very deep story about what it means to be a man today, or a grown person today, while still loving everything that you grew up with in your childhood, and how that defines you as a person.
So the last time you were on, we talked about whether or not Manchild delves into some really serious and sensitive subject matter, and whether you can talk about stereotypical comic book nerds without making fun of them or the stereotype and seem like pejorative. And I asked you whether or not you could make a story like this where you're talking about a man-child. I mean, look at him. He's a tubby, dumpy, idiot-looking guy eating cereal on a ledge, and it says, comic book says you once knew them. And this dude is clearly not that, right?
Right.
And whether or not you could make it feel like something genuine and not a rejected episode of The Big Bang Theory. How do you think you fared in the first episode? And how do you think your audience received your characters?
Pretty well, actually. There's a lot of people that came up to me.
Is that his name? Is his name Rufus?
Rufus, yeah. There's quite a few people that look at Rufus and that have told me like, hey, that's me. That looks like me, or he's into the same things I'm into. You're really capturing the comic book culture of today, especially in the camaraderie that he has with his friends, and that
I could see this being written by Cena Grace. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I could see this being written, this character specifically being written by Cena Grace as a way to take a jab at straight white male nerd comic book collecting, Funko Pop owning, obsessing about Star Trek, and blah. I could see that. So how do you balance doing something like that and at the same time saying, hey guys, I'm not here trying to like take pot shots. This is a love letter. This is, a exploration of, masculinity, but also immaturity and all that other stuff. How do you square that for readers who look at this and go, wow, he's just hating on people?
Yeah, it was very difficult. It became this push and pull for me because it was something that, as I've been getting older, that I've struggled with myself when it comes to what does it mean to grow up, and what does it mean to leave things behind that meant so much to you as a kid. And I would have these conversations with my friends, and I would talk about, one of my friends, he would never wear a superhero shirt around with like a superhero logo because
sorry, dude, I honestly did not mean to click that.
No, you're good. You're good. He was afraid of how people would see him. Is he just a kid? Like he looks like a man, but is he just a kid? And really about perception, like the perception of comic book culture and comic book fandom, and how it is, how it can be perceived, but what it actually is. And that was the balance that, in the struggle, the push and pull of it, that I was really struggling with, because I'm not trying to make fun of anyone, but I'm also poking fun at myself, and I'm poking fun at things that I find to be really funny about what it means to be so obsessed with fandom and with these things that um aren't actually real, but they're so real, like they're so real to us. But
People define their identity by their fandoms. Like
yeah,
that's one of
yeah,
you see it in popular culture, and it's not just big, fat, pasty white nerds.
right.
Lots of people, everybody in some way defines themselves by what they like, what they dislike, what they are willing to go to the mat for and defend, and a lot of people create the identity or their sense of self, their ego, based off of the things that they consume and identify with. I am like this character, therefore any attack on this character is an attack on me. I am fond of Superman. Superman taught me things growing up. I identify with those stories. So turning Superman's son gay is an attack on me. And I understand the psychology of that. I don't like anything to the degree where attacking it is attacking me. I guess I'm a bad fan. I don't
No, I think
oh, shit on that. I don't really give a fuck. I've got other things I like.
Like, Thor says, hey, pasty?
Fair enough, fair enough. It's been a pasty kind of day. I was making fun of Cider earlier. He's very pasty. But the idea with this is I was torn. Right? I was torn because I was reading Rufus and I'm like, I want to be sympathetic to him.
Yeah.
I want him to be the sympathetic, I don't want to call him an anti-hero, and I don't want to call him disaffected youth. It's kind of like Holden Caulfield. Remember in school you were told like Holden Caulfield's the protagonist, but he's not the hero. And I didn't like Holden Caulfield. I thought he was an asshole. I wanted him to like fall off the cliff. But I'm reading this and I'm like, I want to be able to be sympathetic to Rufus, but for some reason I just can't be. You're looking at him and you're like, dude, get your shit together.
Right.
And then and it feels like that's a commentary on this character, but at the same time, so many people are going to look at this book and identify with that character. So I'm wondering if you're aware of that, why not give him something where, at least in the first issue, he has a moment of insight into that, a moment of potential growing up where he can have some sort of redeeming element to him. Because everything I saw him go through was just like, that's sad. That's another sad thing that happened to you. You're pathetic. You're kind of a loser. You're boring. And I like the butterfly guy.
Right. Well, I feel like I put that in there, and I'll give you two moments in the book where I feel like it was a way to get behind him. And one of them was the moment where he stands up for Stu Leeds in the comic book shop when the guy is crapping on him. And he is arguing against this character named Tanner in the book who wears like an anarchy shirt. And he's basically crapping on Stu Leeds, who is like the Stan Lee of this world, and saying how he didn't do anything. It was all of the artists.
Kirby versus
the Kirby versus Lee, and they have that conversation in the book itself. And I thought Rufus's determination to stand up for this character, this person who had just died, this hero of his, this person that he looked up to, and this person that has changed his life and made him be a part of this fandom. Without Stu Leeds, Stan Lee, would we even be here today? And so having him stand up for that character was a way for me to put him in the position of like, he cares about this so much, and that this person just died and he's defending this person that just died.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I can see that being willing to stand up and say, what are you talking about? This guy was a great person. This guy was a great man. He did a lot for comic books.
Right.
And so that at the same time, you portray him in the beginning when he gets the call and he just kind of freezes up with the realization that Stan Lee is dead. I thought that was a little bit, I don't know if unbelievable is the right word, but he was also surrounded by a whole bunch of people who were kind of demeaning him in that moment where he's like, you don't understand what this means. And they're like, just dude, a dude is dead. Like, move on. Get back to work. There's a real world that you are a part of, and you don't understand that your little fanboy obsession and oh my God, Stan Lee is dead is getting in the way of you having like a life at Target, even though that's pathetic or whatever. But it felt to me like the real world that you created to put him in was, despite his attachment to Stan Lee and willing to fight for his honor, putting him down even because of that. Because Stan Lee is so significant to him, he's even more of a loser because the world doesn't care about Stan Lee. Get the fuck back to work. You know what I mean?
Well, no,
so like, it's now double-edged.
Yeah, see, I don't know. That's what makes me like him even more, because people do not understand him and people do not understand where he's coming from. And that's a character I can relate to, because I feel like when it comes to things that I love, you have those people that like don't understand why you love something so much, and they don't understand why these all this entertainment means so much to you, why it's like so integral to who you are. And I thought having a character that is like, you guys don't understand what this means and what this is all about. And the reason why he's frozen is because it's like, it's like a death in the family. It's like he is completely shocked and his world is turned upside down, and having to live in a world without him. And I thought that him coming again to the defense of this character and having people not understand, and I've pulled from experiences I've had where, especially that day when Stan Lee died, I was really affected by it. And there were people that were like, oh, like I thought he was already dead, or like, who is that, or something. And
he's still already dead. Yeah, he did that.
Yeah. And that was something that I find offensive, because I'm like, how could you think that this person was dead? It's like, you're not paying attention to this person that has meant so much to me. So I don't know, like for me, having him be the outsider in that moment at work was a perfect way to make me feel like I get this guy because he knows something that these other people don't.
So how are these two characters connected? Because one of the other things that I found incredibly frustrating when I finished the first issue was I watched Monarch Crier go through his part of the story, and I watched Rufus go through his part of the story. And on the cover, Rufus is wearing a Monarch butterfly shirt. He's got Monarch butterfly wings. Now, I'm expecting Rufus to cosplay as the Monarch Crier, or wind up being the alter ego of the Monarch Crier, or have the Monarch Crier like fall out of the comic book into his life and then become his mentor and teach him the way to become a real man, or something like that. I'm expecting something. Nandor, give me something. The two of them intersect. How? And my frustration was I got to the end. I'm like, but where do they connect?
Yeah. Well, there are hints in the first issue, and maybe I put them too. It's
too smart, man. You're too smart.
Too hard to discover.
You gotta give room for the dumb kids like me.
Well, I will say, I'll give you a hint of where you should be.
It's on at least.
Yeah. Okay. Let me look here. Oh, my books are falling. Let's see.
11. Is it 11 where he goes after Joanne and then he vanishes? Where's the clue? I need clues. I don't know.
If the whole class could turn to page.
So look, it's page 19.
Okay.
There are no page numbers.
I'm counting.
I was like, now I have to count.
Yeah.
You said there'd be no math.
You said there'd be no. No, I lost my count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I could just keep
10,
saying
11,
things and
12,
interrupting
13,
Neff
14,
and making him have to start
15,
over.
16,
And then the
17.
game will never end.
No,
We'll never
oh
get
my
the
God,
answer.
I will drown you. Okay, is this the parking lot scene?
No, it's before that.
I can't count. Sleeping in the dark where he's playing Halo.
I mean, at least show it to
or Overwatch. Is that
Overwatch? So it's this panel right here.
Okay. Yep, I'm there.
Okay. So just look at that a little
There's the
bit.
butterflies on the right-hand side, and the butterfly magazines, and
There's lots of butterflies.
Amazing Fantasy, right? And his screensaver or desktop background with him with it looks like Stan Leeds, and of course the dripping lotion bottle for where he's been jerking off because he's a big fan.
Yeah,
is there any clue in the dialogue, or is it just the images in the background?
It's visually, yeah. There's
there's the design for the Monarch Crier suit, isn't that it sticking up on the board? Yeah, on
yeah,
the
and
thumbtack.
those are my designs. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you actually like scanned in what you did on lined paper and
Yes.
put that in the comic. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. That's investiture in the storytelling. That's a lot deeper than I originally gave you credit for. That's dope, dude. All right, good job. Honestly, that type of detailed storytelling is the shit that I'm gonna miss unless you put a big red arrow at it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, and
went there. I know you're a smart guy, but sometimes you're maybe a little too smart for the rest of the class, Nandor. You know what I mean? And I don't know if those of us in a consumer culture where we've got chicks with huge tits on Kickstarter and like big explosions and everything, and we all have like 30-second, attention spans. We're like goldfish. I don't know if we can stick with a comic book like that, which is slow rolling us to the finish,
right,
even though it's super intelligently done.
Yeah, well, I hope, again, I guess it goes back to what I admire about Hickman a lot is the need to stick with me here, because I promise it's going to make sense, but just like stick with me and trust me. And I know that's a lot to ask, and that's a lot to ask of the reader. But I want you to go back to the issue and find something that you never saw before, and I want the issue not just to be you read it, you put it away, and you never feel like looking at it again, because by the time that you continue and get to the next issues, you'll be like, I wonder if there was something else, some Easter egg in a previous issue that I missed. And it's just, I want people to look.
You're really going to make me study these pages, aren't you? You're going to make me get out my magnifying glass and go into these backgrounds and be like, what is Nandor? What is the writing on the wall? What is Nandor encoded into this for me to find? Like, if I get out my magnifying glass, will I see like a dot pixel pattern in his jacket that is, actually just a faint outline of butterfly wings? Is it there?
Right. Yeah, well, and there is the scene at the end of the issue where he's after he has that very like embarrassing sexual experience, he looks at himself in the mirror, and the Monarch Crier costume, he's wearing it. And it's like a little security blanket or fever dream that he's experiencing in that moment, because he has just went through a what's the term, I don't know, he's crossed a threshold in his life at that moment. And it was like, he's looking at himself and he says, you're an adult, for God's sake. But he's looking at himself, and all he sees is the identity of the superhero
playing with the Hulk.
Right. So it's the sense of it's just the sense of like he's trying to cope with what has just happened to him, and in his mind it's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just a kid, he's, I guess, self-deprecating in that way, but also it's a sign of, visually it's like maybe a sign of he is maturing in a way. He is going through some crappy stuff that will make him a better person in the long run, because we as readers and as people that look up to these characters, we look at superheroes and we want to be them. That's who I want to be. I want to be Superman. I want to be Spider-Man. I want to be this person. And like for Rufus, that's what he wants to do. It's like he he's not who he wants to be. He wants to be a superhero. He wants to be the ideal man, the masculine man,
So I gotta
in
ask
his
you,
mind.
is the Monarch Crier a comic book that was created by Stu Leeds in this universe?
Uh,
On the second campaign page, we
right.
see these guys go to the movie theater, right?
Hmm.
And they're there to watch a movie, and it's the Monarch Crier on the movie screen. Are they there to watch a movie about the Monarch Crier, or is this yet another fever dream where it sort of takes over and we're now reading about the Monarch Crier, but they're watching an entirely different movie because this is, well, you put yourself in the credits. It's over here, right? I thought we were the real fans. We should have come earlier. Are you here to see Mighty Upholders 4? Now, I would imagine the Monarch Crier is he on that superhero team? Does this character even exist in this universe, or is it a hallucination? Nandor, I'm confused.
It's so you were right on the money with the second the guess there of like, so for me this scene right here was the perfect opportunity to again thematically bring to light the idea of like, okay, they're about to engage in fantastical experience. They're about to be hypnotized by a story and be invested in the story. And for a writer, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity because it's the perfect picture of um, transitioning between reality and fantasy. And so it's like,
Holy shit, are you a
um,
fucking savant? Oh my god! Like you
and
made.
so,
I'm gonna hit you
so,
about this idea that I just had in the backstage, but I'm probably wrong. Go
okay.
on.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was for Rufus and his friends. It's like, okay, we're about to sit down and watch this movie, and you're reading the book, and you flip the page because it's a page turn when they're about to watch it, and um, you're back with the Monarch Crier where we last left off at the end of issue 1, and so again, it's sort of like this, I don't know, meta way of bringing you back to where we have left off because the Monarch Crier doesn't show up in the issue until this point, and so you're transported. You're reading a fantasy within a fantasy. When it comes to the comic that you're holding in your hand. So that's why that's there.
I think, yeah, I think I really need to ask you that question, but I want to ask it and then have you go. I can't answer that. So,
Okay.
let me go back to the earlier pre-prepared questions that I had. All right, let's talk about the campaign for Man-Child #2. We're looking at the campaign page right now, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the book itself? How many pages? This is part 2 of the
Mhm.
6-part series, right? Book
Yeah,
2.
correct.
So, how many pages is the book?
It's 24 pages.
Okay, 24 pages. And what's the basic printed tier cost? I think it was over here, right?
It's $10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. And the shipping was 5. Now, in the first campaign, you offered free shipping, and I can forgive you, seeing as how we are in the second quarter of negative GDP growth, but it is not a
Right.
recession. For
Shipping.
charging everyone shipping. Yeah, I can understand that. And it's still, you also get the PDF with it, which is nice so that you can read that right away. What's fulfillment going to be like? Is this book already done?
It's not done. We have a good chunk of it done, but just like the first issue, we have about half of the book done, and then the funds for this campaign will fund the rest of the book and the printing costs and the production of it. So it's not fully finished yet, the second issue, but uh, you can expect the same quality of what you see on the campaign for the art and the storytelling. It's all been written, of course, and so we all have a game plan ready with me and Jay and DC Hopkins, our letterer, to like get all of this put together. So yeah, it's going to be smooth sailing, pretty smoothly after we fund and stuff.
Mo says, in this particular instance, I would advise ignoring that conventional wisdom and tell, don't show.
Reference to that particular.
Oh,
bottle
the
and
scene
whatnot.
where he
Yeah.
has the embarrassing sexual experience in the back of the car. Yeah. Honestly, I had to say that it's an uncomfortable sequence, but Nandor does it's never going to happen.
It's okay. It's okay.
He actually does something really interesting where he does a in comics, you can have the words not match the pictures. You can use the pictures as context for the words, or the words to create context for the pictures. So like you could use a narrative frame for the images. If you're using like words that provide a different context for the thing that you're looking at, which changes the significance of the thing. The thing is still a thing, but the significance of the thing is different. Or you can reverse that and you could be looking at a thing and then the words are the thing that's different. So in the scene where the embarrassing thing happens in the back of the car, we're also kind of experiencing a flashback to when he is a child.
Yeah.
Which was really kind of weird, uncomfortable, and created dissonance. That's also what you were going for. So
Right.
I applaud you on succeeding and also making me feel icky.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Mo. It's like, so it's not just him boning. There is a juxtaposition there between his childhood innocence and it being lost in the backseat of a Honda Civic or whatever crappy car.
Right. Yeah, totally. That scene was, I mean, it's one of mine and Jay, the artist, one of our favorite sequences, because it was like this very, it's very raw moment that's happening with Rufus, and we're like, what is this guy doing? What is he up to? And then at the same time we're feeling that, we're also getting the best of Rufus as a kid and what superheroes means to him, and that, at a time when sex is like so far away from a kid's mind, like that's not what they're interested in, that's not what they are thinking about. They're thinking about heroes and being a good person and standing up for this kid. Like Rufus stands up for this kid that's bullied, and he's playing superhero, like pretend in his room and doing that. And I thought it was I was like, I don't know, I thought I got to do that. There's just no other way to kind of, again, contrast that. It's like he is losing himself in this, but he's finding himself in his childhood by those flashback scenes.
So you said and it's obvious because it's a monarch butterfly. The superhero is a butterfly. Butterflies are about transformation. This is about a man-child growing up, or at least examining what it is to be a man-child. Hopefully there's some sort of significant intertwining of the two, and we watch Rufus, who may be either the creative genius and mind behind the Monarch Crier storyline that is unfolding in the middle of the comic in his own mind, or he is the person who is being portrayed as the Monarch Crier, allegorically. But it's about the change that happens in him and the story of what's going on with the Monarch Crier. Now, that's something we haven't touched on. The Monarch Crier, what's happening to him is he's at the mercy of a supervillain, Professor Pilgrim, which I think is a weird name. Is there a significance to the name Pilgrim?
There is.
Alliteration.
Yeah, no, it's not just alliteration. So we'll find out more about his origin story as we continue with this book. And I will say, though, that Pilgrim, the reason I use that word is so the Monarch Crier is going to be held captive. We finally see this island that Professor Pilgrim has taken charge of, and it's this mysterious island, and it's something that the Monarch Crier has never been to before. He's never visited. This is a new thing, and he is Pilgrim stands for the idea of this pilgrimage that Professor Pilgrim went through and pioneering this new way of living on this island. So he is the pioneer, the progenitor of this civilization on this island. Yeah. So it's it has to do with that idea of where Professor Pilgrim comes from and what he's trying to do and his motives for where this island is and the city that he's built and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and one of the things that I would like to understand is why the hell is this happening? Why is he Monarch Cryer's arch nemesis? I understand that Monarch Crier is behind a dome now, and there's this big journey that Monarch Crier is going to have to go on, these trials and tribulations through which Professor Pilgrim is going to put him for him to either emerge victorious as a hero or at the very least transformed by the endeavor. But I still don't know really what the significance of their rivalry is. Like, why is he arch nemesis? Why does he hate Manchild or Monarch Crier for being Monarch Crier? What's the grudge there? Did he steal his butterfly collection? Like what's the beef?
Yeah, no, there's a bigger world here, and that's something that we'll get into definitely as we get into issue 3 and 5 specifically. I've built my own superhero universe, and we're going to be seeing more characters and more villains and more of the reasoning behind this rivalry and the history between these characters and other characters that have yet to be revealed. So there's this definitely this sense of world building that we're going to be getting into as we keep going in this book. And we're piece by piece, I'm bringing it to you, and it's some of the best stuff that I feel like I've ever done, and what we're going to be seeing soon.
Do you ever tell short, somewhat insipid, maybe surface level stories about things just exploding and titties? Do you ever do that, or is that just not the Nandor brand?
Yeah, it's
why are you on
I will. So I do want to say that the last thing I've written, I haven't announced the name of it, but I did write a science fiction fantasy one shot that will be coming out next year, and it's I guess as short of a story as I could do with the one shot. It's going to be 32 pages, and it's going to be still a very heavy book, but it's going to be a short story. So there you go.
So short as in length, like
yeah, in length, right? Yeah.
I would be able to forgive you if there was less turnaround time between issues, but Manchild #1 came out last year. You're asking me to wait a year between issues to find out what the fuck is going on.
Well, see, I don't. Yeah, and see, I hate that. I really do dislike that, and I wish there was a more financially viable way for me to be able to get this book out there and in a timely manner for people to feel.
If I just give you $10,000, will you make the whole thing and just be like, here, let's crowdfund it all in one go?
I would totally do that if my campaigns for this book made double what I'm asking for. It would just mean that we'd be coming out with 2 or 3 issues a year. Like that's what I would be doing. And if I could have it all out, I would just do a complete collection of it and put it out there for everyone. Because it's not that I'm not willing to do that. It's not that I don't believe in putting it out that way. It's just that it just comes down to money. It just really does.
So, I mean, that's just kind of like the old adage, right? Like the old maxim. right? You know, the old axiom, the self-evident truth. It sucks when you don't have money.
Yeah.
It's something like that. It's all about the
I'm
money.
sure that's the old adage.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure Shakespeare said that.
Definitely.
Julius
Yeah.
Shakespeare, probably.
I think that was in one of his
Sucks when you don't have
sonnets or
money.
something.
Yeah.
It's
In Macbeth,
it's the
right?
totally iambic pentameter too. It sucks when you don't have money. We had to throw in a little extra syllable there.
It sucketh when
It doth suck when
suck.
once doth not happen.
You're terrible. You're both terrible. All right. So looking at the campaign, we were doing that. We were getting through the tiers, and then I just totally went on a tangent again.
Yeah. So Aldous wants to know if it's suggestive or suggestive.
All right, there's like legit. I'm gonna blow up the spot here because there's a lot of speculation and questions in the chat. I'm gonna blow up the spot. This is the page we're talking about.
Yeah, our
There
camera's
is
not focusing
one.
on that.
No. There is one suggestive panel here. It's Rufus in the back seat. There's a woman here, and there is conveniently that part of the car, you know, the windows and the back seat and the front seat. You know, that part of the car that's in between the two that is blocking the side of her head. So it's actually interestingly, tastefully done, but also Rufus has a big fat belly and it's kind of grody and like, bleh. But it's very tastefully done in that regard. It's one panel, guys, and there's narration going on in the background, but I can see his belly button and it creeps me out. Yes. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth, right? Okay. What did I just do here? I don't want a header and a footer to my interview. So we were talking about the campaign, 29% funded. You've got 29 days now. This is we're going into the second day, right?
Yeah.
28 days. Ooh, we got 45 backers. So you picked up one more while you were on the show.
Awesome.
I don't know if that was us. I'm going to claim it as us just because, you know, it was happening.
Yeah.
But it probably was. It was probably someone else somewhere else because you've been getting backers steadily. Why? I guess we can say why crowdfunding is because he doesn't have money to do it on his own.
Yeah, doth suck it. We already covered that.
What challenges have you faced? Probably not having money. Let's talk a little bit about those last parts of the tier. I've seen drawn in tiers before. I've seen original art tiers before.
Yeah.
What we're looking at these over here.
Yeah, but there's pictures.
Oh, okay, fine. There's pictures.
So
right, that's true.
It's also
not
not currently in the.
Oh my God! Fine. Act like I never do anything. So we got the standard cover, we got the variant cover, we got the Jim Rugg cover. That Marco Rudy is really, really nice. Is that Rudy or Ruddy? I don't know.
Rudy. Yeah, you're right.
That's really nice. You got 1 and 2, so there's the catch up, right? You got the signed version.
I like the colors.
Are you one of those guys that charges me $5 for your signature?
No, you get your the $5 is for the art print.
Okay, you're all right. You're off the hook. I was gonna say, if you're one of those guys, Nandor, we're gonna have words.
Yeah, no, I don't value my signature that much.
Me neither. Then there's all the covers. You got name and acknowledgments, which is kind of cool. Stickers, art prints, and all of that. So if you want to be a producer on the book, there's a little bit extra money you can throw in. Producer, yeah, okay. Then you got the Foxhole Comics bundle, which I got last time. Lifeline depressed me for days. You got the original inked sketch. That's really cool because it's Jay, the guy who draws the book, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Drawn in tier for $150. That's actually a pretty reasonably priced drawn in tier. I want to be the black guy. Can I be the black guy? Can that be me?
If you want to be, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then there's the original.
We'll just put your hat. We'll just put your hat on him.
Gold. That's awesome. That's the perfect like Easter egg nod to Neff. Yeah. I like that. How about I buy one for Aldous and we can put or Ape, because Ape buys drawn in deers too. We can put Ape in there and put a monkey in the audience.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that for the first 72 hours of this campaign, you can actually get the catch-up tier at a discount. And for both issues 1 and 2, or if you want them signed with the art print, that's also discounted. So, and for the first week of this campaign, anyone who backs at a physical reward tier is going to get that print that we're on right now, that like retro style pinup print. So
like Belushi. That's
Yeah, that's free. So anyone that pledges in the first week at a physical reward tier, they're gonna get that print for free.
Which is the one that was on Saturday Night Live and like died of drugs? Yeah, was it Jim or John? Jim Belushi, John Belushi? Yeah, I don't remember.
It was John. Yeah.
Yeah,
John?
that looks like John
Yeah,
Belushi.
I don't know.
That's
I always had them confused.
I mean, I like the style of the poster. I got to say that, but like he's just not an appealing man. He creeps me out. I don't know what it is, bro. It's just yeah. See, John, thank you very much, Aldous.
Yeah, I get their names confused all the time. Like I know they're different.
So you've done 5 books now, right? This is your
Yeah, this will be number 5. Yeah.
It looks nothing like John Belushi. Neff get glasses.
He does need glasses. It's true. So
it totally looks like there's something in the jaw area. I can't tell what it is, probably because I don't know. I can't tell what it is. I can't.
Mo says, I can't believe this.
The sex scene is exactly the same, except his pants are around his ankles. So, what with this being your 5th book, do you have any words of conventional or non-conventional, unconventional wisdom for creators who are trying to do their first book?
Yeah, it's really I come from a different place because my first book was my first book was Seasons Volume 1. It's a hardcover that's over 100 pages, and that's honestly the opposite of probably what most people would recommend doing with their first book, because one, a hardcover just costs a lot more. Two, putting all of your money into like 100-page book without promoting it ahead of time a lot. I didn't really do like the landscape of crowdfunding in 2016, 2017 was not what it is right now. So things have changed over the last few years when it comes to what you can do now and what people expect and all of that. So for your first book, more than anything, I think the best piece of advice that I can give is let people know about it like way ahead of time before you launch a campaign. Even if it is a 100-page graphic novel, even if it is a 24-page floppy, whatever it is, letting people know ahead of time of what you're doing and sharing pieces and tidbits of it. But I don't want to say start small, because I really didn't start small at all. I put Seasons out there for free for people to read, and then did a crowdfunding campaign for it. And I feel like that's counterintuitive. A lot of people would say that's counterintuitive, because why would you pay for something that's free already and that you can read, for yourself? But sometimes that's the best way to do things, because again, it makes you stand out. It makes people go, oh, this guy is willing to put all of this time and effort and energy and money into this thing and give it to people for free. I might as well support him because he's giving me so much, And so I think the more you give, the more you'll get back when it comes to being an indie comic creator. I started sending out the first issue of Manchild to people that didn't back it just because I wanted them to read it. I wanted to give them something that hopefully they would enjoy. And
you couldn't
so
give away the issues, so like you couldn't sell them, so you figured you'd send. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
couldn't sell them, so you sent them out and be like, "Please read my book."
Yeah, and that's really important. Trying to get it in front of people and not expecting to get anything in return, and doing it solely so that they hopefully enjoy it and get invested in it. But I think it's letting people know ahead of time and then saving your money. Those are the two biggest things.
Oh, those are good pieces of advice. All right. I think that's probably whoa.
Oh wait, why did it go to the old one?
Goblin Girl today.
I see. I just edited it, but I guess
Did
I
you
didn't
put it back
save
on?
it though.
So they
I
were
said
talking.
we haven't used a ticker in so long. That's the last time I was up there.
Danshin said how I like how Nandor came all prepared with his books on stands. It reminds me of QVC. And so then Aldous said, where is the ticker at the bottom though? So Frequency Girl added
Well, we
the
haven't
ticker.
used it. We used to use the ticker in the beginning, and then I forgot about it. So we haven't used it since we had Boob Dan on. And I went to put it up. I'm like, oh wait, that says Goblin Girl, and I changed it to be this, and then I guess I hit the wrong button, and it reverted back to
in Goblin Girl.
Goblin
friends.
Girl.
Yeah.
Back in today, friend.
Well,
Yeah, back Goblin Girl.
Goblin Girl.
It is.
So thank you very much, everybody. Back Goblin Girl.
I mean, our first stream, we were selling Cyberfrog
Right,
more than we were
sold
Colossal.
Cyberfrog.
So, you know,
The
we're just kind of par for the course today.
Although that was Cider doing
That was
himself.
not us. That was the guest.
Cider decided to sell Cyberfrog instead of
Pilatus.
so that's not us. That's on him. But thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us tonight, Nandor, and asking or answering all of the asinine questions that I've been asking.
It even still says flatting and chatting too.
Oh my god, it's terrible. You're terrible. You really are. We appreciate everyone in the chat hanging out with us and going the distance. We've had this conversation. So I suggest everybody go check out Manchild. I'm gonna have to back the physical version because I don't back it digital, just buy the digital itself. I'm gonna have to back it just so I find out what the fuck is going on. Because I read the first issue and I was like, I don't know, I'm not sold. But, I always like talking to Nandor. And after I talk to him, he always talks me into buying his books because I guess I'm just a sucker and a consumer. And also, I want to know what's going on in this book, so I'm going to back it. But with all of that said, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to us because, I don't know, there's a reason that you should. I'm not sure what it is. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and give us the like if you liked the episode, or hit the thumbs down if you didn't like the episode. Either way, I don't care. It helps with our engagement in the algorithm. And if you want to know when we go live next, please.
I can tell you it's
my
Sunday karaoke stream for my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Do you do karaoke?
No, I don't.
With that voice,
you
should do
like karaoke.
You should do Copacabana.
Guitar,
yeah,
like hockey and Zayd.
I mean, you did say you play the guitar and you used to compose music with your brother.
See?
Yeah. Well, the drums actually. I'm a drummer.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, you're not getting out of this.
Yeah.
So click the bell for notifications so you can see Nandor play the drums on Frequency Girl's birthday. And tune into the frequency.
We'll see. We'll see you next time.
Good ad-libbing there. Good ad-libbing at the end. Bye.